Hi, my name is Nancy, and this is my research project titled Exploration of the Linguistic Landscape of Bilingual Schools and Their Surrounding Neighborhoods. So, a linguistic landscape is defined as a language on the signage of a given territory, region, or urban agglomeration. And linguistic landscape analysis is a sociolinguistic approach that provides an initial diagnostic of the language situation of a certain area through analyzing the different signs that make up the LL of a given place. Schoolscapes, then, are the linguistic landscapes of a school. In 2015, Dr. Rosita Dressler from the University of Calgary conducted a study on the promotion of bilingualism through the schoolscape signage within one German-English bilingual school. However, little is known about the schoolscape of exterior signage of bilingual schools and how these signs interact with the LLs of the school's surrounding communities. Examining the relationship between the exterior signage in schoolscapes and their communities allow educators to gain a greater understanding of how bilingualism is promoted in a wider context through the text-context relations of signs within linguistic landscapes. My research was guided by the following question. What do the languages and functions of exterior signage of bilingual program schoolscapes and surrounding neighborhoods tell us about the linguistic landscapes of neighborhoods in Calgary? For this study, I examined exterior signage of all 25 bilingual schools in Calgary and their surrounding neighborhoods. To limit the scope of my data, I defined the residential and community areas surrounding the schools as areas 1 block away from the schools from all directions. This distance seemed appropriate as it is walkable by students who attend these schools during their lunch breaks, spares for high school students, and are likely a part of many students' daily commute to school. Thus, students would likely engage with the exterior signage of these streets more frequently. The schools offer either a German, Mandarin, or Spanish bilingual program, and they were divided into 6 geographic zones, as you will see on the next slide. In total, I visited 12 elementary schools, 8 middle schools, and 5 high schools throughout the course of this study. And this is a visual representation of the 6 zones. For my methodology, the data gathered in this study were collected over a period of 4 months in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. To align with the guidelines of our institution research ethics board, photographic data collection was delimited to exterior signage of schools and the surrounding neighborhoods that could be seen by standing on the nearest public sidewalk. Using visual and sensory ethnography and walking ethnography, data gathering process consisted of walking along the streets surrounding the schools and taking photos of the exterior signage in the schoolscapes, exterior signage within the streetscape, graffiti, road signs, and other visual signage in public spaces that gave me a feel of the neighborhood. Employing these immersive methods allowed me to engage with the multimodal nature of LL images that generated an immersive multisensory participation in the environment. I defined one unit of analysis in this study as all the signs found within the exterior schoolscape of a bilingual school. This allowed me to further examine the ways in which all these signs contribute to the school's overall environment by detailing how and where they are placed in the school exteriors, how these placements are similar and or different across different bilingual schools, and how different bilingual schools can be compared to each other. So for my results, in terms of schoolscapes, I found that the exterior signage of bilingual schools is primarily in English, with some signs reflecting the languages being taught in the schools. In some zones, those languages also reflect the top 5 non-official languages spoken in the neighborhood. And overall, the schoolscapes of bilingual schools generally display one bilingual sign on the exterior of the school, such as writing the name of the school in both English and Spanish, for example. In terms of neighborhoods, the exterior signage of neighborhoods around bilingual schools is primarily in English, with some signs reflecting the languages of the zones. In some zones, those languages are also taught in the bilingual schools, but more often they reflect languages with different orthographic fonts, such as signs in Chinese. And the exterior signage of the neighborhoods are relatively monolingual. In addition to linguistic landscape analysis, I also analyzed signs present within the exterior linguistic landscapes of bilingual schools and their surrounding neighborhoods using Hallidayan functions. So in most zones, 95% or more of the signs have either a regulatory or representational function. So for example, the signs either dictate how people should behave or they represent a direction. And less than 5% are made up of interactional and instrumental signs, which are signs that are designed for people to engage with. So in conclusion, bilingual schools project bilingualism onto the linguistic landscape, especially through representational signs. The languages present in the exterior schoolscapes of bilingual schools do not necessarily reflect the linguistic landscapes of their surrounding neighborhoods, and vice versa. And signs can serve to regulate activities of both school and non-school users, similarly to park signs observed by Dr. Kim Lenters and her 2020 study of a park in Calgary as well. So here's a list of my references. And for my acknowledgements, I would like to extend a huge thank you to my supervisor, Dr. Rosvita Dressler, as well as the Workland School of Education. Thank you so much for watching my presentation.